disaster for Australia. The wing's fallen down.
We were kind of fortunate in the sense that everyone's okay. The second step was, is the boat going to be okay? Go into survival mode, keep the boat afloat.
Welcome to SailGP One-on-One. I'm Lisa Darmanin, and today I'm joined by one of the GOAT flight controllers, Jason Waterhouse. Jace, how have you been?
Yeah, really well, thanks. That's a very nice introduction, Lisa. I appreciate that. I wouldn't call myself that, but I would say that I'm having a great time sailing this team, but enjoy the flight controller role.
You've had big news coming for your team. You guys are now the Bonds Flying Roos. How does it feel to have a new name? Are you guys all embracing the Bonds lifestyle?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a huge milestone for the team. We've been here, the originals, I guess you'd say, and it's been 5 years of hard work by a lot of people you don't see. And it's almost bigger than winning a season. It's a huge
It's a massive win for the team.
Yeah, it is. It gives us a lot of things. Like, we've got great partners now who we can't wait to work with. But, security, and it's also, now I can look into the future a bit more. Each season would end and we weren't sure what was happening. And now that we're financially independent, we can sort of start to plan for years to come.
I guess with an iconic Aussie brand such as Bonds, maybe people listening don't quite know what it is. Why does Bonds align so well with the team?
If you don't know what Bonds is in Australia, you're not Australian.
Or for the people in the rest of the world.
Exactly. I guess it's just so iconic for us. Everyone in my household wears Bonds, me, my wife and my daughter. It's like in our DNA. They're real go-getters. It's just a cool company. Very, very comfy undies, as they say.
We'll leave it there with the underwear and move on to your new owners. So obviously Tom Slingsby is an owner of the team, but you got two big hitters in Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. Pretty cool to come and announce some big Hollywood stars that are backing your team as well.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, we're having global celebrities joining SailGP, which is something that I wouldn't have ever predicted, 5 years ago. And to have them on board and to be a part of our team would be really fun. I think Hugh, obviously being Australian, icon, as we would say, he's going to be great to work with. And Ryan, who we all love and we see on the screens around the world, as well as Hugh, of course. It's going to bring like a really interesting dynamic to the team. I think they share the same values. I think they want to do well. And also have a lot of fun along the way.
Yeah, you guys have this massive mateship within your team, which is very Aussie, and obviously they push to be the best, but have a lot of fun doing it. So I think it's really exciting to see. It's so cool to see the league grow, and see you guys as well take that next step as a team, as you said. But you've had a pretty chaotic season, to put it lightly, with the wing collapse, which I really want to talk to you about. And I guess taking you back to San Francisco, as a flight controller, you don't get to look up and see what's happening. But can you kind of describe those moments, I guess, just before when everything was going dandy, and then what ensued after?
Yeah, a bit like you're saying, San Francisco was probably going to be, well, it really was one of our best performances. You obviously look at the result now, it doesn't paint the picture. But we were really comfortable going to that last race. I think we'd qualified for the final, and we're just trying to do some practice pre-start for the finale that we were going to be in. We're just sending it into the line, full speed, like Mach 10, nothing different, but it's San Francisco and the boats go quick. So
full send.
Yeah, exactly. And we've just rounded up below the Italians, and then a big bang. And I think all of us, obviously it's unexpected, one, but two, you don't really know what to react. Have you hit someone? Have you hit something? Has something failed? Have you done something wrong? Those questions come up straight away. Obviously, once you do the head count, make sure everyone's okay. And then you spend the next hour or two trying to pick up the pieces, make sure the boat's okay. And then you're asking the question, what happened? And that was something that, as a team, when we came in and sort of realized, wow, we actually got really lucky there. It really sort of brought us in together as a unit, which is nice.
I guess when you go through things like that as a team, I mean, obviously the wing collapses, it's over everybody's head, you pop up and you're just checking for your mates first. And I guess for you, just describe that moment, like how it felt. Were you scared? Was it just like, get the job done, let's salvage the thing? Like, what was kind of like that? Was that an emotional roller coaster, or was it just full in survival mode?
For me, it felt like a bit of a process. Like, step one, when it went bang, we were kind of fortunate in the sense that we were all on the same side. So it's easy to look forward and look back and everyone's okay. So step one, everyone's safe. And then the second step was, is the boat going to be okay? Obviously the wing's down, but is the beams broken? Is the hull, are we sinking? So then you go into survival mode, keep the boat afloat. And then once we managed to, our shore team got on board and saved the boat, then step 3 was our season. Like, what's this going to do to us in our results? Like, is our season over? Are we going to be able to repair the boat in time for Rio? For me, it was that really 1, 2, 3. And then the final one was probably like anger that we didn't get to race in the final.
Yeah, it was such a good weekend.
Yeah, we're having a great weekend, but also the Spanish were too. And I think we were all really excited to see the matchup between the two of us.
Like that repeat from the final of last year as well, where they won and you were back in South Crown. And
yeah, like every race prior to that final one, we were right next to them, and it was they're sounding fantastic. So I was really looking forward to that. So it was like, four real. In hindsight now, you could see like the process of it. It's the 5 stages, I guess they call it.
And then the other thing is, you're in San Francisco. It's wavy, it's windy, it's cold, and you got a really big tow back to base as well.
Yeah, exactly. And on the tow was kind of when the adrenaline came down. I think there was I think everyone responded differently. Like, some of us had a lot of reflection on how lucky we were to survive, and then, like I was saying, I was kind of the opposite. I was angry that we didn't get to race, in the final, and it was a long tow home for that. It's funny how those situations create that response.
Yeah, everyone responds differently in situations, and I guess from that, obviously, there's the questions of what happened, which we all know. That the fleet's had a full upgrade, the wings are twice as strong now. We had to miss an event for it, which, as a sailor and as someone that really wants to trust their equipment, I guess that gives you a lot of confidence that it got taken seriously, and you can go out there and trust your equipment close together.
Yeah, I think if the fleet had gone to Rio not understanding what had happened, I would have been really concerned. As a sailor, I think we're all adrenaline junkies a little bit to do this, and we like pushing the limits, but then when things do go wrong, it kind of brings you back down to earth and on the risks.
So you realise how much you're...
Yeah, exactly. And I think Rio was really sad because you and I
so
have a lot of
anyone that
there.
doesn't know, Jason and I won a silver medal in Rio together, so we were pretty gutted that we didn't get to go, but as you said, it was the right decision.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time there in Rio. It's the vibes there it's uncomparable, honestly, to anywhere else in the world.
The energy would have been...
Yeah, exactly. But it was 100% the right decision because... Yeah, and the fact that they managed to get through the fleet and fix it for here, I mean, I'm hugely impressed of the infrastructure supporting the league to get it done. I don't know how they did it, but we went out there and commissioned the wing 2 days ago, and ours is brand new, got fibre optics in it, so we've got the designers here with us watching the loads, and we could load up the boat slowly, and it was almost like a relief once everything was fine, and then now it's kind of been a switch to commissioning. Are we going to be okay to let's go win the regatta?
I guess when you go through something like this, like I've discussed it actually with Stevie on our other podcast, is you go through these moments in your sailing career where you might have a crash, or your wing might collapse on your head, whatever it is. I guess now, because of that process that you've gone through, is it kind of like, okay, we're going to sail the boat just as we used to, like there's no sort of reservations. Like, I guess as a team, as you said, you kind of came together through that trauma in a way, and now it's just like, all right, we've ticked the boxes, let's just go racing. Do you think you're going to sail the boat any differently, or are you guys confident you're just going to go out there and keep sailing wing home?
No, I'm pretty confident we'll go out there and send it like we normally do. I don't think there's any reservations on board. I guess one of my fears is not necessarily of the risks of what could still happen, but more so what happened to us in Christchurch and the implications of that. And in Christchurch, we had a massive collision with the Mark, which ruined our regatta. But what was interesting is it didn't ruin that regatta, is the regattas to come afterwards, we were finding lots of bugs in the boat.
Yeah.
Lots of little issues that were then hindering our performance in the following regattas, and it really didn't get better. It took almost 4 events for the boat to feel normal again. So I guess that's
a sensation feeling that you're looking for. You're like, is it going to feel the same?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it took almost 4 regattas for the boat to not have any issues and feel back to normal and be able to play offense again. So I guess that was probably my thing, thinking, okay, we've had another major issue here. I mean, everything's been fine now, but I guess that's what would be my fear.
Yeah, especially because you've gone through it before. I guess as a team, you guys have, you know each other so well. You've been through the highs and lows. you've also got an amazing coach as well. I guess, what are sort of like, what can you give the insights into the conversations you're having about like rebuilding? Obviously, you guys are at the top of the leaderboard, so you're not really rebuilding, but kind of bouncing back from something like that. Is there any discussion about it, or is it like, how do we win this week? How do we win next?
Yeah, it's funny. I was literally talking to Chris about this about an hour ago, that that this venue's light, a bit like Dubai is, and that we just have to remind ourselves that even coming off LA and San Fran with the disappointment of the wing collapse, we were sailing really well, and that the processes that we have adopted are working. It's kind of a strange feeling to walk away from that event being like, wow, that sucks, but we're now on top of the leaderboard. So, like you said, I think just keeping that perspective that we can do this, we know how to do it, and not letting it try to affect how we manage the day-to-day racing.
As a team, obviously, like we talked about the highs and lows and the pretty big lows that happened just a few months ago. But also coming off the back of last season, you guys, everyone on that team wants to win. Everyone at SailGP wants to win. Losing to the Spanish, having a tough season, having this wing collapse. Kind of, how do you guys always keep evolving, whether you're at the top, whether you've had some adversity? What do you think is like that thing that keeps you guys always at the top?
I think probably just the culture we have within the team, and try to give it. It's hard to describe. I guess that's why I'm being a bit coy with it. And maybe the best way to describe it is, it feels very Australian in the sense that we try to stay humble in our team, and that we try to adopt it's called a hand-up culture. No one's the best in the world. We try to, if we make a mistake, we feel comfortable enough to put our hand up and say that was mine, and have that self-assurance, and then we eventually go around the table and say, well, that looks tough. What can we do to assist that problem? And that was ever since day one. It hasn't really changed. I think that's probably maybe the thing that has been working. If we haven't tried to chase something, it was very natural. I think because we know each other so well. Yeah,
that culture of being able to grow and know that they're going to support you to be the best version of yourself, because it helps them. There's no like threatening vibes around. I think the other thing, knowing you so well, is that you're always trying to get to the bottom of things. So as you said, everyone's happy to put their hand up and say like, that was me. But for you, I guess as looking into yourself and your debriefs, what's your process as you get off the water? And you've had so much to learn with the new T-foils and things like that. Like, are you talking to Billy, talking to Tom? Are you going to the data analyst being like, tell me about this jibe or this one? Like, what's your sort of personal process? Because you are a very successful flight controller. You've adapted to the T-foils really well. Russell was singing your praises in our commentator's debrief. So tell us the secrets.
Yeah, thanks, Rusty, for that one. Yeah, I think a bit like you were saying, like in terms of the individual process, I think because the league has been evolving, there has been kind of that, I guess, the excitement of the opportunity to learn. So like initially when the league started, there was no flight controller. Then that developed, and then we had, the fleet doubled in size, and then we've had the T-foils come online now. So a day-to-day process would be, we finish the day, usually have a chat on the mooring a little bit between us, nothing formal, like just so we're young. And then we come in, and then Bull and Hugo, who is our performance analysis guy, he'll put together a report, and then that's pretty much that's a comparison against not ourselves but the rest of the fleet. And it's just really, it just illustrates really quickly. I don't usually look at like what Chris is doing or what Tom's turn rates is, or it's more focusing on my ride. So generally it's ride height, ride stability, like just rudder average, stuff like that. And just seeing what the rest of the fleet is doing, and I can just see, okay, well, say the French had a good day, the Brazilians had a good day. I can see what they were doing, or do I need to meet them a bit more in the middle, or and then usually after that we'll do some video stuff the next morning. But that night I'll go on to the laptop and open up, and because we can access every team's cameras and data, I can go online and see, well, here's what Andy Mulaney was doing in the board drops.
Yeah.
And then I can compare it to my ones. So some days you don't need to do that. If it's been a massive day and the fatigue is too big,
yeah,
I'll go to bed.
It's better off that you just actually rest, reset, and make sure that your brain's ready to fly again.
Yeah, exactly. With my role being so mental, I find that the venue and the day-to-day is what will change how my fatigue factor. So my goal is always, especially with the jet lag and stuff, is just to get as well rested as I can and able to maintain focus. It's really hard in some venues than others.
Yeah, I guess there's a few things, like for those like listening at home, is the days are really long. obviously the racing, the broadcast goes for 90 minutes, but your days are huge from your briefings to craning in and coming out of the water. The days are long, and then each day is different as well. And so I guess, if you're at a weekend and there's 2 days the same, it's a little bit easier to be like, hey, I really need to know how to ruin tomorrow. But say you're sailing in plenty wind and the next day is going to be light and shifty, how do you sort of change your mindset? Are you looking at that day that you just did, or are you looking at data from the past? Or are you just like, I'm going to go to bed and deal with tomorrow?
It depends on the day, but usually it's a bit of both. So usually looking at stuff of the past, today, I think I just found out we're using LABs for the regatta, which I haven't used since Dubai, which I think was November last year. So I need to fire up the laptop tonight and have a look at my settings and what I was doing there to sort of rekindle those feelings again, and those settings. But yeah, I think one thing that probably is underestimated by everyone is the jet lag, because the league is so big now. We're doing 12, 13, 14 events a year, and we usually fly in on the Thursday, practice sail, then we're straight into it. It takes me 3-4 days to get back onto a normal sleep cycle.
Sunday final, you're actually firing.
Well, usually yes, and that's the irony, is usually our training days, and historically as well, it's not just me. I remember with Langers and usually the weigh-ins as well, and Kinley and Tom, our training days were rubbish, and it always would fire us up, and we'd be a bit depressed on the Friday, but it'll always come good on the weekend. And I honestly do think it is a factor. So it'll be interesting, having done the Southern Hemisphere leagues already, where it didn't affect us. This kind of feels like the first event where we're really starting to feel that. And that's going to be a big challenge in the future of how do we adapt and manage our fatigue and get ready for the days of racing.
It's so hard. It's just, I hate the jet lag about 3 a.m. every morning. But I guess looking at SailGP, you've been here from the beginning. You've been involved in teams of the America's Cup. You've done a couple of Olympics. Each thing, I guess, offers you different things as a racer, but ultimately you love racing. You love getting out there and doing the fight. Is that how you would sort of describe yourself, or why do you love SailGP racing so much?
Yeah, I guess I just enjoy the competition, and I think it's something that you and I sort of adopted when we were young in our racing is, instead of getting frustrated with the racing sometimes, I really try to embrace the competition. If someone beats you on one day, instead of saying, oh, hell to that guy, you say, well, wow, he did a great job. What can I learn from him? And obviously you're not like that every time, but trying to remove that emotion and just sort of embrace the combat. And I think that was particularly really cool. I remember not last year, the year before, the Kiwis and Ben, they were so good, those guys. And I remember being like, I think Kinley actually said once, one of us said, oh, I hope the French get in and not Ben, because we have a better chance to get them against them. I think Kinley said, no, we want Ben in there. We want
race the best.
Yeah, exactly, race the best. And it's just nice having that shift in focus. So trying to embrace the competition, but also just having fun with your friends. These guys are all my best mates. Every time I come to a regatta, I leave with a sore belly from laughing so much.
I feel like you're pretty good on the water as well. Everyone can tune into the onboard comms, but there's some dark moments on the Australian boat, and I think when you guys have a rough one, everyone feels it because you guys want to win so hard. And then it's a little joke from you, or you might hear it from Kinley, and it kind of resets the vibe of the team, and you can keep that back. Yeah, and that's right. I think knowing each other well enough is into when to do those moments is really critical. I think. It's you're not taking it seriously, but you need to just reset the vibe.
It's a way to reset without saying reset. You know what I mean? So I think sailing with you, we're quite a quiet boat. We don't. Well, I hope as a skipper. We didn't really talk much. I hope as a skipper. There was once or twice where you'd slap a hole. Yeah, exactly. And that's very different to sailing with Tommy. Tommy, he needs to vent that emotion, good or bad. It just is the way to get him going. And I think one thing that's actually, it's not a style I thought I'd actually enjoy sailing with, and sometimes it's not. But one thing I think I now appreciate is that the level of standard he holds is so high that in training I feel that pressure to perform at that level. And then when I get to racing, I don't feel any more pressure because I was already trying to do that standard previously. It's a really weird thing. Pressure becomes normal. Yeah. And so it's not okay, Saturday I need to rise to this level. It's Tom demands the best of me every day, I demand the best of me every day, so it's just another day. Exactly. Yeah, it was really interesting. At first I thought I was going to struggle with it, and now I actually understand why. Maybe, he probably could tell you himself, but I think maybe that's why he does it. is that everyone feels really accountable from the minute we hit the water. We're having fun, but it's expected that we're doing very, very well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The other thing you guys have sort of gone through this season is obviously losing Kyle, one of your best mates, but you've got Chris in. You sailed with Chris in the past back in the 2017 America's Cup. You were involved with him. He's come in and it looks like he's just dealt straight. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when Kyle was leaving, we were all nervous. I mean, because when you think you're doing things quite well, you don't want to change. And it's sad losing Kyle, but I think when we're talking about trying to get wing trimmers, when Chris's name was available, I was like, I've worked with him before, he's going to be good. I honestly didn't think he'd
Say yes.
come in being that good, as good as he is. Like, I knew he was fantastic, but I thought the transition into our team would take time.
Yeah, because you guys are unique and different to who we sound with.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Tom and the rest of the team did a really good job trying to be a bit more, being open to like anything that we could help with Chris integrating into the team. But yeah, he's just been fantastic, and I think because he's sailed with 4 teams previously as well. It's like he's been with Japan, Canada. What was the other one? The Brits, season 1, and now us.
Different perspective.
Yeah, I was going to say he's worked with so many different skippers, flight controllers, coaches. The perspective he brings, it was a real a bit of a
like a refresh.
a bit of a refresher to stay open-minded, because I think we were so comfortable with Kyle and our group.
No way you did things.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we got complacent, but you just get so comfortable. And then when Chris comes in, you have to adapt to his his techniques, and then he brings insight. So it's been really, really cool.
As a flight controller, you got to trust your wing trimmer. So it's nice that Chris has come in and done such a great job for you guys. I guess we talk about the flight controllers a lot on the commentary and just generally. I mean it's a hard job, because you don't get to see much of the racing. You're full head down, no idea what's going on, just full high pressure. Nobody knows when you're doing a good job, but everyone knows when you're doing a bad job. Hard one.
That's so true. And that's the funny thing, is a wing trimmer could over trim the sail. It could be stalled and no one would be wiser. But a non-sailor can tell when a flight controller is doing a terrible job because the boat's under the water.
This was not in the plan.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there is that. But it's pretty cool. I mean, I think that's the unique thing in our sport, is that we are dealing with nature, and the boats are tough to sail, and they're so taxing when you get it wrong.
Has it been fun having the T-foils? Obviously you nailed the L boards, you were really tuned in, everyone was sort of catching up to you guys. Bang, T-foils, you guys are doing really well, it's a new challenge for you. Is that a fun thing as an athlete, to be able to kind of like have it? I mean, it's always challenging at SailGP, but to have another challenge like that? Yeah,
I think when the T-boards we were told they're coming online, the expectation was that actually be easier to fly the boat. And now, in reflection, being 4 events in or 5 events in, it's actually harder, because the boat is just so much more loaded up. Plus my role, I can move. Previously, I could move the boat literally up or down, like on a y-axis, whereas now I can control the board and how the boat operates on an x-axis. Managing the leeway, we call it. So now it's kind of fun having another thing to play with. And yeah, the boat is it's hard. It's really hard, and the boat's just going faster, and it was a bit scary, like in Auckland.
You're like, I don't know what's going to happen next, guys.
Exactly. I remember Auckland was pretty gnarly, and the first practice we did out there before the racing, I was like, holy mackerel, we've got heaps on. Like, this is going to be real bad for everyone.
I mean, everyone heaps on,
yeah, exactly. Because obviously you don't want to do a bad job, but you don't want to hurt anyone, and you don't want to break the boat, and that's usually the flight controllers doing that if it happens. So, but no, I think you can see now the fleet's getting a lot more comfortable with it, and there's guys who are pushing the limits really well. Like Jay Saunders, he was a bit of an outlier in San Fran for his downwind right eye, and I think everyone saw that. So now we've sort of got another target to chase. It's nice. It's nice to keep pushing and
keep evolving as an athlete as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I know all the flight controls are a tight unit, and it's nice they are my mates as well, and it's nice seeing them pushing and making each other better.
Yeah, well, fun story is, I guess, like Jay Saunders from the French boat used to be our training partner on the Macasee French team, and then Wisbowski on the German boat, same thing, he was your best man at your wedding. Yeah. So, you got friends throughout the fleet. I think that's the thing here is, like, so much of it is this, like, everyone wants to win, everyone wants to be out there, like, at the top doing their best. but you're all mates, I'm sure, which makes, traveling the world and coming to these events, a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. You could have said it any better. We're all good mates, and it's funny because it's like our own little club, the flight controllers. And
Cruise union,
a little bit cruise union, but it's funny because you go out there on a day that's pretty cruisy, and you've been racing, but then you have a gnarly day, and you get back to the dock, and you almost just want to hug each other that you got through the day.
You also went through one.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I went. We did this together. We're out the other side. Yeah.
Well, obviously we're wrapping up America. Next is the European legs. Portsmouth is the next stop. Are you looking forward to getting over to Europe and kind of having this condensed sort of season again?
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be the hardest leg for us Aussies, because it's I call it silly season. Like any time in Europe from July to October, it's just crazy, chaotic.
Full on.
Yeah, lots of flying and stuff, and also the venues are typically quite tricky, as you know, racing.
Each one is different.
Yeah, racing in Europe generally is quite light, fickle. We're obviously trying
not what the Aussies are used to.
Yeah, exactly, not what we're used to, and but it'll make the racing exciting. So, yeah, excited for that.
Well, thanks for the chat, Jays. Thanks everyone for tuning in at home. Make sure to ping that notification bell, subscribe, because we have lots of content coming out of SailGP. I want to know who you want me to chat to next, and I'll see you next time.